Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope you've had a fantastic week and that you got a couple of days of relaxation coming up. Thank you for joining and for checking out this video. Always ask questions and, make comments, like the videos, share them, subscribe, all that stuff that content creators ask you to do. Let's see here. I guess we can go ahead and start getting right into today's lesson. Although I do want to take a minute to say, talking about these synthesizers, if you are not interested in this synthesizers, if you don't have a synthesizer, it doesn't really matter. There's bigger ideas that can be taken away from this. Like for example, when we've got our, I'll pull up the display here. When we've got our sound source and we're just talking about the volume of the synthesizer, that could just be how loud or softly you play your instrument. For example, if you play the trumpet and you play a note and you play it very loudly, it's going to affect the sound versus if you play a note very quietly. And you could spend a lot of time trying to get the same sound, whether it's a quiet note or a loud note, but that's going to take that's a way to explore your instrument. And in the same way that we've got these filters for our synthesizer, you can figure out ways to filter on that trumpet. For example, when you play it louder, the filter will probably be more open, meaning that you will hear much more. You will hear many more of the overtone series. Whereas if you play just a quiet tone, maybe you will hear only that tone and not as many of the overtones above it. Hi, Maria. Good to see you. Good to see you here. And so same thing with piano. If you're playing a piano and you really hit a key hard, it's going to vibrate the piano more, and so more tones are going to ring through, as opposed to if you just press the key softly, you're not going to hear the same sound. So it's even though I'm talking about synthesizers, this can still be applied to acoustic instruments very easily. Let's see here. Having said that, let's jump into where we kind of left off last week. We had added a second oscillator or sound source, and let's see what's going on here. Right. Okay. So what we've got is our main sound source, which is the sawtoothed wave going through a filter, and our filter is being modulated by an envelope. Doesn't sound exactly like a brass instrument, but it is close to a brass instrument. A brass instrument could make a sound that's close to this, right? And so last week we added in this. And I'm going to turn off the modulation on our tuning knob. There we go. So basically it's an extra resonance right here, an octave above our original sound source. And I know I went over this last week, but we can also tune this down an octave and just strengthen the fundamental because we've got a sine wave here. Or we could take it up, let's say 2 octaves. Right? And one of the cool things about synthesizers for me is that it taught me a lot about how sound works. That's how I got into synths. I was really interested in the physics of sound. And so synthesizers became a really convenient tool to play around with and to teach me about how sound works. So when we've got this, we've got our basic sound right here, but when we add in this pitch 2 octaves above it, my ear now knows what that sounds like. And you can play around with it. You can say, you know what, I'm going to go an octave and a half above that. So it's going to be... Right? You can hear how that sounds. For, it's a fifth. It's an octave plus a fifth. Let's go back down to the octave. There we go. Let's say we just want to do a fifth above this note. Right? And now we can also play with the volume. Right? To where it's just barely coming through. But you can still hear that the fifth is being strengthened. I'll take it out and you can hear it. Now out. Now back in. Yeah, you can hear that. Or you could go crazy and say, you know what, I'm going to make this sound source my main sound source and now turn this one down. So there's lots of possibilities here. Let's see here. Kind of back in the day when this subtractive synthesis was or analog synthesis was kind of gaining its footing, the easiest way to create some complexity within your pitch was to add an octave, you know, like we were just doing, or take it down an octave below. Oh, almost there. There we go. Let's hear that. Right. And keep in mind that our second source is a simple sine wave. It's much less complex of a wave shape than this first, than our original sound source. I'll bring it up so you can see it. No, that's not what I pushed. That is what I pushed. There we go. So just to show you all what it looks like. There's our fundamental right here, and these are all overtones found in the sine wave. They're all members of the harmonic series. Fundamental, second tone, third tone, on up. And versus our sine wave, which is much more simple. Right, just this one right here. So let's bring those back up. Actually, let's bring it back up to a fifth, so then we can visually show you. Okay, so let's really boost this one, and you can see this second one right here is going to be a little bit louder. I think I'm starting to clip. Let's turn this one down. There you go. So this is the fifth, which is actually not in the harmonic series. That's not its place in the harmonic series. Here is its place in the harmonic series. You can see how this one is highlighted. And let's keep going. Let's go up to another. See, there we go. And next we've got our third. Let's see what that looks like. Oops, sorry, one more. There we go. And now I'll take it out, and this one that is really jumping up will come back down. So let's check it out. And now out. See? See how that is much more line-like versus where that is popping out. So it's a really cool way to like see sound and to also kind of understand how it works and how intervals are made and how we hear intervals. Like I said, learning about the harmonic series and doing this sense of stuff really helped out my just general understanding of basic intervals. Let's see here. I want to talk one more thing really quickly. So when analog or subtractive synthesis, when subtractive synthesis started getting going, they called it modular. It had many modules. Like there was a voltage controlled amplifier, which nowadays we call our master volume, and there was a voltage controlled oscillator, or VCO. Now we just call it an oscillator, or Logic calls it a source. You know, that was a separate piece of hardware that then we would patch in. Here, let me switch this back. Come on, mousing around here. Okay, so then we would patch those two together with This is a long one, but a chord, right? Whoop, went the wrong direction. There you go. One of these little chords. And you would take it from one module, take this chord from one module and plug it into another module, just like that. And we'd have our oscillator, and then maybe we'd have a filter, and then we'd have our filter on out. We'd plug that into a voltage controlled amplifier. So all this is a long-winded way to say that these modules were kind of at a premium. So we didn't always have a lot of options. So a cool way to like kind of use the few modules that we have. Obviously, there's way more in this digital realm, but if we pretend like we're in an analog realm and we're like, okay, let me get this cool synth patch happening. How can I adjust it? Here's a cool way to do that. Here's a cool option. Okay, let's bring this back down because I kind of like that. Let's make this a different wave. There we go. Cool. Now we got a square wave. Something that we could do really easily was plug in an LFO. Yes, plug in LFO, low frequency oscillator. And it will kind of like give a tremolo effect to one of the oscillators. So we still have our main one going, but now we've also got that tremolo effect on a second oscillator. So it adds just another layer of complexity. And we can adjust the rate. Although I kind of like this, but we can make it go faster. Maybe the guinea pig likes a faster tempo. I don't know. But I'm glad. There we go. That's kind of cool. Kind of like a old sci-fi movie or something, right? Like when the aliens are landing. Oh, we could slow it down. The effect is not as prevalent in this specific case, but you hopefully get the idea. Maybe I could do this. Bring down the depth a little bit. There we go. There you go. You can hear it wave a little bit more. So I guess that's a long way to say that adding an LFO, the same way we had added an LFO to our fine tune knob in the in our saw wave, in our original sound source, to create a vibrato effect, we can also add that exact same LFO to the volume of our second oscillator, so it kind of creates a tremolo effect. So we're just trying to get to ways to like fatten up our sounds and make them more interesting, because when we've got an interesting sound source, then if we're coming from a place of an interesting sound source, then what we play with it will already be more engaging. So I hope that makes sense. Like I said, even if you're not a synthesizer enthusiast, or don't have one or whatever, these principles can still be applied to whatever instrument you may have. It's all just about trying to figure out what translates into what. For example, we were just doing the tremolo, so it's like, okay, how do you make a tremolo? I used to play acoustic bass, and if you take the bass bow and you like kind of apply more pressure and then release some pressure, it'll increase in volume and then decrease in volume. And it's all about just taking these ideas and transferring them over into your realm. And that's really what it's all about, regardless of we're talking about music or anything. It's just taking ideas, transferring it into your little orbit, and going from there. So I think I'm going to end it at that. I already went way longer than I wanted to, but thank you for tuning in. I'm here every Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Probably talk a little bit more about synths next week. Maria, good to see you. I hope you have a lovely weekend as well, and I hope your guinea pig has a great weekend too. And we'll see you all soon. Oh, I always forget this. If anybody wants to take lessons, reach out to me. My website address is in the show more in the video. So hit me up on the website. We can talk about what you'd like to study. I offer a money back guarantee, so no pressure. If we don't connect or whatever, if we don't click and you don't like the lessons, I'll give you your money back, no problem. I just want to help you make the music that is inside of you. All right, have a great weekend. See you next week.